The night the world tried to swallow Emma Hayes, Carter Hole began with the soft trembling of her unborn child and the sharp cry of her 6-month-old son, Noah, echoing through the small Los Angeles suburban house. Rain hammered the windows like fists, as if the storm outside knew what was about to happen inside. Emma, barefoot, exhausted, and trembling, clutched Noah against her chest while trying to keep her balance on the slick hardwood floor. Her breath came in short bursts. She whispered, "It's okay, baby. Mommy's here," though she barely believed her own words. Vanessa Blake burst through the front door with the force of someone who had already decided she owned the room. Her hair was soaked, mascara streaking like black rivers down her cheeks, her voice sharp enough to slice the air. "Where's Ryan? Tell me where he is," she screamed. Emma flinched, her heart slamming against her ribs. Vanessa took 2 steps closer, and the smell of alcohol hit Emma like another blow. Emma tried to keep her voice steady. "Vanessa, please. You need to leave. Noah is scared. I'm pregnant. You can't. Stop hiding behind your kids." Vanessa spat, grabbing Emma's arm so hard her nails dug into the skin. "Ryan told me everything. He said he's done with you. He said you trapped him here, and now you want another child to keep him?" Emma cried out, more from fear than pain, and clutched Noah tighter. "That's not true," he said. "He lied to you," Vanessa hissed. "He lied to me too, but someone is going to pay for it." Before Emma could step back, Vanessa slapped the phone from her hand. It skittered across the floor and slid under the console table. Noah screamed, startled by the sudden violence. Emma's own scream rose to meet his. She grabbed the railing of the stairs with her free hand, desperate for support, desperate for air. The room tilted. The rain pounded harder. Lightning flickered, giving everything a surreal blue glow. Vanessa lunged again. Emma turned her body to shield Noah, feeling her knees buckle. She cried out, "Help! Somebody help us!" But the storm swallowed her words. She stumbled backward, nearly losing her grip on her crying son. She felt the hot sting of Vanessa's fingers in her hair, yanking her forward, and for the first time that night, Emma truly feared she might fall, might lose everything in one terrible second. Then, beneath the roar of rain and Noah's terrified cries, came another sound, the front door slamming open. Heavy footsteps, a voice deep, shaking with anger and something darker. "Emma." She froze. Only one man in the world said her name like that. Richard Hayes, her father. He stood in the doorway, soaked from the storm, chest heaving, eyes burning with a fury Emma had never seen in him. He took in the scene, Emma's trembling body, Noah's screams, Vanessa's hand still tangled in Emma's hair. Rainwater dripped from his coat onto the floor, each drop sounding louder than the last. For a brief moment, Emma wondered if she was imagining him, if the fear and noise had created a mirage of safety. But the weight of his presence filled the room, steady and immovable. Even Vanessa hesitated, her grip loosening just slightly as the realization dawned that this wasn't just any father, this was Richard Hayes, a man no one crossed without consequence ever again. And then his voice broke the room in half. "Let my daughter go." But no one in that house, not even Emma, knew the real reason Richard arrived at that exact moment. The memory of that night faded into a blur of stormlight and shouting. But the story of how Emma reached that point began more than a year earlier, on a warm afternoon in Napa Valley, where everything smelled like fresh grass and promises. Emma Hayes Carter had believed she was walking into the safest chapter of her life. The sun settled gently over the vineyard, guests murmured with joy, and soft music drifted through the air. She had no idea her wedding day would become the beginning of a path leading toward heartbreak, betrayal, and a fight for survival. Ryan Carter, dressed in a perfectly tailored navy suit, looked every bit the dependable husband Emma had hoped for. He smiled with effortless charm, shaking hands with guests, promising a future filled with stability and shared dreams. Emma clung to that image, ignoring the faint tension in her father's jaw as he watched them exchange vows. Richard Hayes had flown from Manhattan that morning, arriving with the presence of a man used to negotiating with boardrooms, not watching his only daughter give her life to someone he barely trusted. Still, he stayed quiet, hoping his instincts were wrong. After the ceremony, Emma and Ryan shared their first dance beneath strings of soft golden lights, friends toasted to forever. Photographers captured the glow in Emma's eyes, a glow that came from believing she had finally built her own life, separate from her father's shadow. Ryan whispered promises of a home full of laughter, children, morning coffee on the porch, and Sunday drives along the coast. Emma felt weightless, unaware that Ryan had already begun hiding pieces of himself. Even then, Richard noticed the way Ryan checked his phone too often, as if waiting for someone else. In the weeks that followed, the newlyweds settled into their routine, with Emma glowing through the early stages of pregnancy and Ryan consumed by his job at the financial firm. Emma believed the changes were normal, the late nights, the missed dinners, the vague explanations. She wanted so desperately for their life to work that she brushed aside every uneasy feeling. Richard traveled back to Manhattan, telling himself he had to let Emma live her life, though something deep inside refused to quiet. He sensed an imbalance forming, a truth slipping through cracks neither Emma nor Ryan wanted to face. Still, despite the whispers in his mind, Richard allowed himself to hope. He bought baby gifts, checked in with Emma every few days, and tried to believe the softness in her voice meant real happiness. Yet each time she hesitated before answering a question, he felt that familiar dread tightening in his chest. Emma hid her discomfort well, convinced that admitting fear would make it real. She clung to the promise of family she had imagined for years, unaware that Ryan's secrets were already weaving threads into their future, threads that would eventually pull everything apart. On a quiet evening just before summer ended, Emma stood on the porch of their suburban home, rocking baby Noah gently against her chest, staring at the sky as it shifted from soft blue to orange. She whispered hopes into the warm breeze, believing life would settle into place soon. Inside, Ryan typed furiously on his laptop, his face lit by the screen, his expression tight with urgency. Emma didn't notice the second phone hidden in his briefcase, vibrating again and again with messages from a name she had never seen. She couldn't know that everything she hoped for was already slipping away. But everything was about to break open tonight. The move to the Los Angeles suburb felt like a gentle shift at first, a hopeful beginning wrapped in sunlight and soft mornings. Emma believed she and Ryan were finally building something stable, something untouched by the noise of Manhattan or the pressure of her father's expectations. Their two-story house wasn't luxurious, but it had a warm porch, a small backyard, and enough space to imagine a future with children running through the halls. She decorated slowly, placing framed wedding photos on the shelves, convincing herself the quiet neighborhood meant safety. Ryan, meanwhile, threw himself into his new position at the financial firm downtown. He talked about charts, bonuses, and late-night deadlines, as if they were proof he was becoming the man he promised Emma he would be. Every morning he left in a hurry, coffee in hand, suit still crisp, eyes already fixed on emails lighting up his phone. Emma watched him rush out the door and told herself this was normal marriage, normal ambition, normal life. But the emptiness that followed him out each day settled deeper than she wanted to admit. Pregnancy softened Emma's world in ways she didn't expect. She spent slow mornings on the couch with her notebook, planning baby names while sipping warm tea. She held her belly with quiet wonder, imagining Noah's tiny heartbeat syncing with her own. Her remote marketing job allowed her to work on her MacBook Air from the dining table, though exhaustion often pulled her away. Some days she felt strong, others she felt invisible. Still, she convinced herself the sacrifices were temporary, that Ryan would eventually slow down and return to the man who once kissed her forehead before every goodbye. But the first real crack appeared the night Emma found Ryan's second phone. He had left his briefcase open after a long meeting, and a soft buzzing drew her attention. Inside was a sleek silver phone she had never seen. Notifications from a contact saved only as V lit the screen. Her heart tightened, but she forced herself to breathe. When Ryan came home, she confronted him gently, expecting honesty. Instead, he snatched the phone, insisted it belonged to a coworker, and claimed she was imagining problems. Emma apologized even though she wasn't wrong, a habit learned from months of walking on eggshells. Week by week, the house that once felt comforting began to shrink around Emma. She noticed how Ryan's smiles never quite reached his eyes anymore, how he guarded his phone even during dinner, how he seemed annoyed whenever she mentioned the baby's kicks. She tried to bridge the distance with small gestures, leaving notes in his briefcase, cooking his favorite meals, asking about his day with hope. But each effort met a wall. A coldness she pretended not to feel. On afternoons, she sat by the living room window, watching other families push strollers along the sidewalk, wondering why her own life felt so different from the dream she had imagined. One evening, while folding onesies in Noah's nursery, she heard Ryan laughing downstairs. The warmth in his voice startled her. She hadn't heard him sound that in months. When she peeked into the hallway, she realized he wasn't talking to her, he was on his hidden phone again. She listened to the murmur of his voice, the softness he never used with her anymore, and a chill ran down her spine. For the first time, Emma felt something dangerous stirring inside her, not anger, not yet, but a suspicion that her marriage was not strained, but shifting towards something darker than she wanted to believe. And she had no idea how quickly that darkness was approaching. Vanessa Blake was the kind of woman who walked into a room like she already owned the oxygen. At the financial firm where Ryan worked, she moved through the glass hallways with a confidence that made everyone's eyes follow her. Her sharp ponytail, crisp white blouse, and heels that clicked like warnings were her armor. She had a reputation for being brilliant, dangerously so, and she knew exactly how to use charm as both a weapon and an invitation. When she laughed, the room leaned closer. When she frowned, entire meetings shifted. The first time Emma heard about Vanessa, it was in a casual, harmless sentence. Ryan had mentioned her as the new analyst who's good with clients. It didn't sound like a threat then, but the way Ryan said her name lightly, almost with admiration, left a faint ache in Emma's chest. She tried to ignore it, telling herself she was just tired, just hormonal, just overthinking. But deep down, she felt something changing. Something subtle, like a thread pulling loose. At the firm, Vanessa quickly became Ryan's closest collaborator. They spent late nights preparing presentations, reviewing numbers, and meeting with high-profile clients in the conference room overlooking the Los Angeles skyline. Ryan admired her speed, her fearlessness, the way she challenged him instead of nodding politely. She made him feel sharp, important. She made him feel seen. It was a feeling he hadn't felt at home, not with Emma drifting through pregnancy exhaustion and newborn chaos. One evening, around 9 p.m., the office lights dimmed automatically, signaling the building's after-hours mode. Most employees were gone, but Ryan and Vanessa remained, reviewing slides for an upcoming pitch. Vanessa leaned over his shoulder, her perfume soft but unmistakable. Her hand grazed his arm. The touch was brief, but enough to jolt him. He didn't pull away fast enough. Vanessa noticed. "I know what it's like," she said softly, eyes still on the laptop screen, "to feel stuck between being responsible and being alive." Ryan swallowed hard. I'm not." "You don't have to explain," she interrupted. "It's obvious. You're loyal. Maybe too loyal. But loyalty can suffocate a person if it's tied to the wrong thing." Her words hit him harder than he wanted to admit. He leaned back, rubbing his temples. Vanessa watched him carefully, calculating, sensing the ground beneath them shifting. Meanwhile, at home, Emma sat on the living room couch, folding Noah's laundry with trembling hands. She checked her phone again, no message from Ryan. She wanted to call her father, but she didn't want to worry him. Instead, she whispered to her sleeping son, "Daddy's working hard. He'll be home soon." She didn't believe herself. Back at the office, the night deepened. The lights from the city glowed through the floor-to-ceiling windows like scattered fire. Vanessa stepped closer again, her voice lower now. "You don't have to keep pretending your marriage is perfect. Everyone sees the cracks." Ryan straightened, startled. "What does that mean?" "It means," she said, touching the edge of his tie, "you deserve something real. Something passionate. Something that doesn't drain you." He didn't step away. That was the moment everything shifted, even though neither of them said it out loud. Vanessa smiled slightly, sensing victory. Ryan exhaled slowly, torn between guilt and desire, trapped in a choice that would change everything. While he gathered his things, Vanessa whispered, "Don't go back to a life that doesn't fit you anymore." Ryan didn't answer. But the next morning, Emma noticed something different in him, a distance colder than before, though she still didn't know why. And she had no idea Vanessa had already marked her as an obstacle that needed to be removed. Emma's world began shrinking in small, quiet ways long before she realized she was disappearing inside it. Days blurred together, filled with feeding schedules, diaper changes, and long stretches of silence broken only by Noah's soft cries. She loved her son with every piece of her heart. But motherhood felt heavier than she expected, especially when she carried most of it alone. Ryan's late nights grew more frequent, his excuses thinner. He claimed the firm was pushing for a major merger, that his presence was essential, but his eyes no longer lit up when he talked about the job. Instead, they darted away from Emma's, as if afraid she might see something he wasn't ready to admit. By afternoon, sunlight streamed into the living room, warming the carpet where Noah played with colorful toys. Emma sat nearby, rocking gently in the chair she'd bought with her own savings, a soft reminder that she contributed something, even if it didn't feel like enough. She glanced at the unopened Amazon box by the doorway, the one her father had sent. Inside was Atomic Habits, along with a note that said, "Whenever you feel lost, start small." She hadn't touched it yet. She didn't want to face the possibility that Richard sensed something was wrong before she did. That evening, as Emma stood stirring soup on the stove, she listened to the voicemail Ryan left earlier. "Hey Em, I'm swamped again. Don't wait up." His voice sounded distracted, not stressed. She heard faint laughter in the background, female laughter. Her stomach tightened. She turned off the stove, staring blankly at the kitchen tiles. She wanted to call him back, demand an explanation, but fear held her still. Fear of being right. A knock on the door startled her. It was the neighbor from 2 houses down, a tired-looking woman named Carla. She smiled gently, holding a small bag. "I baked too many muffins," she said. "Thought you could use some." Emma thanked her, grateful for the kindness. Carla hesitated before leaving. "If you ever need help or company, my lights are usually on late." Emma nodded, but she didn't step closer. She didn't know how to let people see her cracks. Later that night, Noah refused to sleep. He cried for hours, arching his tiny body, desperate for comfort Emma tried to give but barely had the strength for. She paced the hallway with him, pressed against her shoulder, whispering lullabies, tears slipping down her own cheeks. Exhaustion made everything blurry. She checked the clock. It was past midnight. No word from Ryan. The front door finally opened at 1:12 a.m. Emma peeked over the stairs. Ryan stumbled in, slightly off balance, his shirt wrinkled, his hair disheveled. She hurried down, still rocking Noah. "Where were you?" she whispered. "Work," he muttered, avoiding her eyes. "Smells like alcohol," she said quietly. He sighed sharply. "It was a client dinner. Stop acting like I'm doing something wrong." "Ryan, I'm tired," she said, her voice cracking. "I'm scared something's changing." He ran a hand through his hair. "Of course something's changing. We have a kid. Our lives aren't the same." "That's not what I meant," she whispered. He didn't ask what she meant. Instead, he brushed past her and went upstairs, leaving Emma standing on the staircase with a crying baby in her arms and a sinking feeling in her chest. When she finally laid Noah down and returned to the living room, she noticed Ryan's briefcase on the couch left open. Inside, a crumpled hotel receipt peeked out. "For 2 guests." Emma froze, breath hollowing in her throat. She pressed a hand against her chest. But she hadn't even seen the worst part yet, because the name on the receipt wasn't Ryan's. It was Vanessa Blake's. Emma stared at the hotel receipt as if it were a weapon pointed at her chest. Her breath came in shaky fragments, her vision blurring around the edges. She pressed her hand over her mouth, terrified she might cry out loud and wake Noah. The receipt was dated 2 nights earlier when Ryan had claimed he was meeting a high-value client. Room 804, 2 guests, paid on a corporate card, and signed not by Ryan but by Vanessa Blake. The truth felt like poison spreading through her bloodstream. She folded the receipt and tucked it back carefully, as if hiding it would somehow delay the pain. Then she forced herself to walk upstairs, her hands trembling on the railing. In the dim hallway, she paused outside the bedroom. She could hear Ryan's soft snoring, the sound of someone who slept peacefully, someone who didn't fear discovery. Emma entered the room quietly. Ryan was sprawled across the bed, half covered in blankets, still dressed in his shirt and slacks. His phone lay on the nightstand, screen glowing faintly with notifications. She stared at him for a long moment, trying to find the man she married, the man who had promised her forever. But all she saw was distance, lies, and a version of him she no longer recognized. She crawled into bed without touching him. The mattress felt wider than it ever had. Cold air filled the space between their bodies. The next morning, Emma woke with a headache pulsing behind her eyes. Ryan had already left for work. He didn't leave a note. Didn't kiss her forehead. Didn't check on Noah. She sat up slowly, feeling an ache deep in her bones, the kind that came from more than exhaustion. She carried Noah downstairs, humming softly to keep herself steady. Her mind raced with questions she was too afraid to voice. Was the receipt a misunderstanding? A coincidence? A mistake? But the truth pressed back harder. Ryan had been slipping away for months, and Vanessa had been waiting to catch him. By late morning, Emma couldn't hold the fear inside any longer. She reached for her phone and dialed her father. The moment she heard his voice, deep, steady, familiar, her throat tightened. "Emma, are you okay?" She swallowed. "Dad, I think something's wrong. I don't know what to do." Richard's voice sharpened with concern. "What happened?" She hesitated. She wanted to tell him everything, the late nights, the hotel receipt, the lies. But part of her felt ashamed, as if admitting the truth would make it more real. Ryan's been distant. I'm overwhelmed. I feel like I'm losing control." Richard was silent for a moment. Then, gently, he said, "You don't have to handle this alone. Let me." "No," she whispered, cutting him off. "Please, I don't want you involved. I just needed to hear your voice." Another pause, longer this time. "Emma, if he ever makes you feel unsafe, you call me, immediately." She closed her eyes. "I will." After they hung up, Emma placed a trembling hand over her belly. The baby fluttered softly, a reminder that she wasn't just protecting herself, she was protecting two little lives. That afternoon, Ryan texted, "Working late again. Don't wait up. No apology. No explanation." Emma stared at the message, her fingers tightening around the phone. Something inside her shifted, not anger yet, but a spark of self-preservation. She couldn't keep pretending nothing was wrong. She couldn't keep shrinking while Ryan drifted away. That night, after Noah finally slept, Emma sat on the couch with the receipt laid out in front of her. She stared at it until her heartbeat steadied. She whispered to herself, "I need to know the truth." And she didn't realize that the truth was already on its way to her door, wearing heels, carrying jealousy, and ready to destroy everything. The knock came on a quiet Thursday afternoon, soft at first, then sharper, more insistent. Emma froze mid-step in the hallway. Noah balanced on her hip as he gnawed on a teething ring. She wasn't expecting anyone. Ryan had already texted that morning. "Big meeting. Don't call." She didn't plan to, not after the hotel receipt, not after the nights of empty explanations. When the knock came again, Noah startled, gripping her blouse. Emma whispered, "It's okay, baby," though her stomach tightened with unease. She opened the door. Vanessa Blake stood on the doorstep, smiling like a cat that had already eaten the canary. She held a neatly wrapped gift bag, pale blue with a white ribbon, and wore an expression of false sweetness that made Emma instinctively pull Noah closer. "Hi, Emma," Vanessa chirped. "I was in the neighborhood and thought I'd drop off something for the baby. A little late for a shower gift, but life gets busy, right?" Emma blinked in disbelief. "Why are you here?" "Oh, relax." Vanessa stepped inside without being invited, her heels clicking on the hardwood floor. "I figured we should finally meet properly. After all, we're both important women in Ryan's life." Emma's blood ran cold. She closed the door slowly, carefully, because Noah was watching, and she couldn't let him feel her fear. "I don't think this is appropriate." "Appropriate?" Vanessa let out a soft, mocking laugh. "Honey, if appropriate mattered, Ryan wouldn't be calling me at midnight." Emma felt her knees weaken. She steadied herself against the wall. "He wouldn't, Ryan wouldn't." "Oh, he would." Vanessa slid the gift bag onto the kitchen island with rehearsed elegance. "He tells me everything. Maybe more than he tells you." Emma's breath trembled. "Please leave." But Vanessa didn't. She strolled through the living room, eyes judging every picture frame, every toy, every detail of a life she clearly wanted to claim for herself. "You have a cozy setup here," she said. "A little, plain, but you make it work. I guess that's your strength, isn't it? Making do." Emma felt heat rising in her chest. "What do you want?" Vanessa turned, her expression shifting from fake sweetness to icy precision. "I want you to stop pretending this marriage is alive. Ryan is suffocating here, Emma. He's miserable. And honestly, I can't blame him. You've tied him down with a baby, now another on the way." "Don't you dare talk about my children," Emma snapped, voice shaking but firm. For a moment, a flicker of surprise crossed Vanessa's face, then amusement. "There she is, the fighter. Ryan told me you used to be stronger before motherhood turned you soft." Emma swallowed hard, rage burning hot beneath her skin. Vanessa stepped closer, lowering her voice. "He's going to leave you, It's only a matter of when, not if. And when he does, you'll be alone in this little suburban bubble with 2 kids and no real career left." Emma flinched. Vanessa leaned in, her lips curving. "But I'm not heartless. I'm giving you a chance to walk away with dignity. File for separation. Let him go. Don't make this uglier than it needs to be." Emma stared at her, stunned. "You think you can walk into my home and threaten me?" Vanessa shrugged. "Call it encouragement." Noah whimpered, sensing the tension. Emma kissed his forehead, whispering, "It's okay," even though her hands trembled. Vanessa walked to the door, tossing her hair over her shoulder. "I'll give you a few days to think about it." Emma's voice cracked. "You won't win." Vanessa smirked. "Sweetheart, I already am." She stepped outside, pausing only to add, "Oh, and Ryan doesn't know I'm here. Let's keep this between us." Then she left, closing the door with a soft but devastating click. Emma leaned against the wall, fighting tears, clutching Noah as if he were the only thing anchoring her to the world. But she didn't know Vanessa had done more than visit. She'd just set in motion a chain of events far darker than Emma could imagine. The next few days felt like walking through thick fog, each step heavy, each breath uncertain. Emma couldn't shake Vanessa's words. They clung to her mind like thorns. She replayed the visit again and again, trying to understand how everything had escalated so quickly. How could Ryan have let things go this far? How could he let her into their lives, into their home, without a single ounce of shame? Noah sensed her tension. He clung to her more than usual, fussing easily, refusing to nap unless Emma held him. She rocked him for hours, humming soft melodies to keep herself from breaking down. Every time her phone buzzed, she prayed it was Ryan, explaining himself. But his messages came sparingly. "Running late, don't wait up, busy today." Not a single question about Noah. Not a single "how are you?" By the 3rd day, exhaustion had settled into Emma's bones. She couldn't keep pretending. Her face was pale, her eyes carried shadows, her movements lacked strength. She needed help, any help, and though pride held her back, fear finally pushed her past the barrier she had built between herself and her father. Emma called Richard. He answered on the first ring. "Emma, what's wrong?" "Dad," her voice cracked. I don't know how to say this. Tell me. I'm here, always." She closed her eyes and let the silence stretch before whispering, "I think Ryan's having an affair." Richard said nothing at first. The quiet felt heavy, charged, like the moment before a storm breaks. Finally, he responded, voice steady but laced with steel. "Why do you think that?" Emma hesitated. "A hotel receipt? Vanessa, she came to the house. She said terrible things." Richard inhaled sharply. "She came to your house?" "Yes." "Did she threaten you?" Emma's throat tightened. "Not directly, but she told me to leave him. That he wants out. That he's miserable. That I'm holding him back." Richard's tone sharpened further. "Emma, listen to me. None of this is your fault. Do you understand?" She didn't answer. "I'm flying to Los Angeles tomorrow morning," he said. No discussion. Panic surged in Emma's chest. "Dad, no. If Ryan finds out, let him," Richard snapped. "Let him deal with a father who refuses to let his daughter be treated like this." Emma felt tears fall, hot and uninvited. "I don't want things to explode." "They already have, sweetheart." After they hung up, Emma sat at the kitchen table, staring blankly at the steam rising from her untouched tea. She felt Noah kicking gently in his playpen, looking up at her with innocent eyes. She forced a shaky smile. "Mama's okay," she whispered. "Mama's trying." That evening, she attempted to confront Ryan when he finally came home, but he brushed past her, loosening his tie, pacing like a man carrying secrets in his pockets. "I saw Vanessa," Emma began cautiously. Ryan froze. His shoulders tensed. "What?" "She came here," Emma continued. "Brought a gift. She said things." He spun around, eyes sharp with anger, not at Vanessa but at her. "Why didn't you tell me right away?" Emma blinked. "You haven't been around. You barely speak to me. How was I supposed to?" "Damn it, Emma." Ryan slammed his briefcase onto the table, rattling the dishes. "You don't know what you've just started." Something in his tone chilled her. "What does that mean?" Ryan scrubbed a hand over his face. "Vanessa is unpredictable. I've been trying to manage things. You should have stayed out of it." Emma stared, stunned. "Stayed out of my own marriage?" He didn't answer. Instead, He grabbed his phone and stepped outside, pacing on the porch as he made a call, speaking in low, hurried tones she couldn't decipher. Emma stood inside, clutching the doorway, her heart thundering with fear and disbelief. How had she become the outsider in her own life? How had a stranger taken her place? When Ryan finally came back in, he muttered, "Just keep the peace until I figure things out." Then he went upstairs, leaving Emma alone in the dim kitchen, surrounded by broken expectations and cold silence. She pressed a hand to her stomach, trying to steady her breathing. But she didn't know Vanessa wasn't done, and the next time she showed up, she wouldn't come with a gift bag. The tension inside the house thickened over the next week, settling into every room like a smell Emma couldn't wash out. Ryan moved through their home like a stranger, quiet, irritable, watchful. Emma tried to avoid conflict, but every moment felt like walking barefoot over broken glass. She sensed something was coming, something worse than Vanessa's visit, worse than the hotel receipt, worse than the late-night calls Ryan tried to hide. She was right. It happened on a Friday evening. Noah had finally fallen asleep after a fussy day, and Emma stood in the kitchen rinsing bottles when Ryan came home, slamming the door louder than usual. She flinched. He tossed his keys on the counter, pacing back and forth like a storm trapped inside a man's body. "We need to talk," he said sharply. Emma dried her hands, heart pounding. "Okay." Ryan braced his palms on the kitchen island, eyes burning with agitation. "Vanessa is threatening to file a report against you." Emma froze. "What? For what?" "For harassing her," Ryan muttered. "For showing up at her work. For calling her repeatedly. For whatever story she's made up in that head of hers." Emma's jaw dropped. "I haven't done any of that." Ryan shook his head. "She says you have." "And you believe her?" Emma whispered, voice cracking. Ryan rubbed his forehead. "Emma, she's not some random woman. She's a key part of my team. She's your mistress," Emma said softly. His head snapped up. "Don't start. You don't deny it anymore?" Her voice trembled. "You're not even trying now?" Ryan exhaled deeply, staring at the floor. "I messed up. I know that. But Vanessa is unstable right now. She's talking about going to HR, filing complaints, telling them you showed up at the office." Emma gasped. "I've never been to your office." "I know that," Ryan snapped, then lowered his voice. "But HR may not care what's true. They care what makes noise. And Vanessa makes a lot of noise." Emma grabbed the edge of the counter to steady herself. "Why is she doing this?" Ryan avoided her eyes. "Because she thinks I'm choosing you." Emma's breath hitched. "Are you?" Silence. Long, heavy, suffocating silence. That was her answer. She felt something inside her chest crack, not a loud break, but a small, devastating tear. But Ryan wasn't done. He reached into his coat pocket, pulled out a folded paper, and slid it across the counter. "She said she'll drop everything if you sign this." Emma's hands trembled as she unfolded the paper. A separation agreement. Her vision swirled. You want me to sign this?" "It's only temporary," he insisted. "Just until things cool down. It's not formal. It's just to show her that you're choosing her," Emma said in a whisper. Ryan's lips parted, but he didn't deny it. He didn't reassure her. He didn't reach for her hand. Instead, he said, "It'll make everything easier. Easier. Easier." The word echoed inside her head like a punch. Easier for him. Easier for Vanessa. Harder for Emma. Harder for Noah. Impossible for her already fragile heart. Her knees weakened. She sank into a chair, shaking. "Ryan, I'm pregnant. With your child. How can you do this?" Ryan hesitated, then said something that crushed her completely. "We weren't ready for another baby." Emma pressed a hand over her mouth, swallowing a sob. "I can't believe you said that." He looked away. "Just think about signing it." She stared at him, this man she had loved, trusted, married, and felt something shift forever. "I'm not signing anything," she whispered. Ryan's face hardened. "Emma, don't make this harder." She stood, body trembling but voice steady. "No, you made this harder. You. And Vanessa." She walked toward the stairs, forcing each step forward even as tears blurred her vision. Ryan called after her, "Don't do something you'll regret." She paused at the top of the staircase and turned slightly. "I already did," she said. "I trusted you." She disappeared into the nursery, closing the door softly behind her. But as she leaned against it, shaking uncontrollably, she didn't notice the shadow outside the house. A car parked across the street. Headlights off. Engine running. Watching. Because Vanessa wasn't waiting for a signature, she was preparing her next move. The next morning dawned gray, clouds hanging low over the neighborhood like a warning. Emma barely slept. She paced the nursery all night, holding Noah close, listening for every creak in the house. Her eyes burned from exhaustion, but she kept moving, kept breathing, kept whispering, "You're safe. Mama's here." She wasn't sure she believed the words anymore, but Noah needed to hear them. She needed to hear them. Ryan left early, avoiding eye contact as he grabbed his keys. "I'll be home late," he muttered. Emma didn't answer. She just stared at the spot where the separation papers had sat on the counter. He took them with him, probably to show Vanessa she hadn't signed. Something told Emma that refusal would come back to haunt her. By mid-morning, Noah finally fell asleep, giving Emma a moment to sit down. Her body sank into the couch as if she were made of sand. She rubbed her temples, trying to quiet the pounding in her head. She wanted to call her father, but she didn't want to worry him before she understood how bad things had truly become. She decided to clean the kitchen instead, something mindless, something she could control. But when she opened the fridge, she stopped. A cold jolt ran through her chest. Inside sat a small white envelope, with her name written in looping handwriting she didn't recognize at first. Then she did. Vanessa. Emma's hands trembled as she tore it open. Inside was a single printed photo. A photo of Ryan and Vanessa together in the hotel lounge, leaning close, his hand on her knee, her lips near his ear. Intimate. Too intimate to deny. But that wasn't the worst part. Behind them, barely visible in the mirror's reflection, was Emma. Heavily pregnant, tired, waiting quietly by the restaurant entrance, looking around as if searching for Ryan. The timestamp placed the moment 3 weeks ago, on the day Ryan told her he had a last-minute client dinner. Vanessa had taken this photo. She had watched Emma walk in. She had watched Emma leave after waiting 20 minutes, and said nothing. Emma's stomach twisted violently. She rushed to the sink, gripping the counter as tears fell onto the stainless steel. Her chest heaved. She felt humiliated, foolish, betrayed beyond measure. Vanessa had followed her, studied her, set her up. This wasn't an affair anymore. This was warfare. Before she could catch her breath, her doorbell rang. Not a simple chime, 3 rapid, aggressive presses. Emma wiped her face and hurried to the door, praying it wasn't who she suspected. But when she looked through the peephole, her heart nearly stopped. Vanessa stood on the porch, wearing sunglasses, holding a clipboard. Emma's pulse thundered. She opened the door only an inch. "What are you doing here?" Vanessa smiled, the coldest smile Emma had ever seen. "Good morning. I'm here on official business." Emma frowned. "What are you talking about?" Vanessa lifted the clipboard. "I've filed a wellness concern with Family Services. They're sending an officer for a home check." Emma's knees weakened. You did what?" "I told them you're emotionally unstable," Vanessa continued, voice calm and cruel. "Overwhelmed, isolated, neglectful, possibly a danger to the baby." "That's a lie," Emma cried. "Is it?" Vanessa tilted her head. "You're alone all day. You look exhausted. Ryan already told them you've been acting erratic." Emma felt punched in the chest. "Ryan would never." "He did," Vanessa cut in. "Men don't like messy situations. They tie them up neatly." Emma gripped the doorframe to stay upright. "Why are you doing this?" "Because you didn't sign the papers," Vanessa said simply. "You should have listened." Emma's breath shook. "Get off my property." Vanessa leaned in, whispering, "You're losing this battle, sweetheart. And when Family Services shows up, they'll see exactly what I want them to see." She walked away, heels clicking confidently down the driveway. Emma shut the door, locking it, bolting it, pressing her back against it as panic clawed up her throat. Her chest tightened, her vision blurred. She clutched her belly with both hands, whispering, "Stay calm, please stay calm." The baby kicked anxiously beneath her palms. Then she looked at the clock. If Vanessa was telling the truth, someone could be at her door any minute. Her hands shook as she reached for her phone. Not to call Ryan, not to call Vanessa. She called the one person who would protect her without hesitation, no matter the cost. "Dad," she whispered when he answered. "Emma?" His tone sharpened instantly. "What happened?" She took a shaky breath. "I need you, please." Hurry. And Richard Hayes, thousands of miles away, quietly replied, I'm already on my way. Richard Hayes didn't hang up immediately after Emma whispered that she needed him. He stayed silent for one breath, then two, gathering himself the way a man did right before stepping into a battlefield. When he finally spoke, his voice was controlled steel. Listen to me carefully, he said. Lock every door. Keep Noah close. Do not open that door for anyone until I arrive or until I tell you to. Emma pressed a trembling hand to her forehead. Dad, they said someone from Family Services might come. Vanessa filed something. Emma, he cut in, firm but calm. That woman is playing a game she doesn't understand, and she has no idea who she just provoked. Emma closed her eyes as tears slipped down her cheeks. I'm scared. I know, Richard said softly, but you're not alone anymore. I'm coming. He ended the call and immediately dialed his assistant, giving instructions like he was coordinating a corporate extraction. Emergency flight, direct to LAX, car ready on arrival, no delays. His voice never shook once. Back in the house, Emma moved quickly, locking windows and double-checking doors while Noah rested on her shoulder, whimpering softly. Every sound outside made her flinch. A passing car, a dog barking, a distant siren. Her heart hammered painfully, each beat echoing fear and adrenaline. She went to the kitchen and stared at the photo. Vanessa left the damning, humiliating image of Ryan and Vanessa in the hotel lounge. She snatched it and shoved it deep into a drawer. Not because she wanted to forget, but because she needed to breathe without choking. There was another knock at the door. A single, heavy knock. Emma froze. Noah stirred in her arms, sensing her panic. The knock came again, louder this time. Miss Carter, a voice called. This is Officer James with Child and Family Services. We received a wellness report. We need to speak with you. Emma's breath hitched. Her legs turned weak. She pressed Noah closer. This was it. The trap Vanessa had set. She stepped back, unable to speak, unable to move. Miss Carter, we just want to make sure everything's okay, the voice said. No, 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 don't fall for it, her mind screamed. Vanessa had warned her. Family Services might come, and if they did, they'd see exactly what Vanessa wanted them to see. A frightened, shaky mother, alone with a crying baby. Another knock. Miss Carter, please open the door. Emma backed into the hallway. Her breathing grew shallow. Noah whimpered, clutching her shirt. She closed her eyes. Dad said, don't open the door. Don't open it. Don't open it. But then the voice softened. We can hear the baby crying. We just want to help. Emma's throat closed. She felt her hand drifting toward the lock. Her phone buzzed. A text from her father. Emma, do not open that door. I've already contacted the agency. No one was assigned to your address today. Her heart stopped. She looked at the door again, at the shadow under it. Someone was out there. Someone pretending to be Family Services. Someone Vanessa sent. The knock came harder this time, almost angry. Miss Carter, open the door now. The tone had changed. No warmth, no patience, just command. Emma stumbled backward, pulse racing. She hurried up the stairs and grabbed the baby monitor camera, clutching Noah with one arm. She hid in the nursery, locking the door, sinking to the floor as her hands shook uncontrollably. The knocking downstairs continued, growing more aggressive. Miss Carter, we can't stand out here all day. Emma whispered into Noah's hair. It's okay. Daddy's coming. Grandpa's coming. Just stay with me, baby. The banging stopped abruptly. Silence. A long minute passed. Then another. Then footsteps retreated down the driveway. Emma didn't move. She didn't dare. Her phone buzzed again. A second text from her father. I've made some calls. They won't come back. I'm landing in 3 hours. Stay inside. Keep Noah close. Emma held her son tightly, feeling his small heartbeat against hers. Tears finally flowed, quiet but unstoppable. Not because she was afraid, but because, for the first time in months, someone was fighting for her. And she had no idea that while she hid in the nursery, someone outside had left a note on the door, one that would change everything. Emma waited until the house felt still again, still enough for the pounding in her chest to slow, still enough for the terror to ease into a shaky quiet. Only then did she scoop Noah into her arms and tiptoe downstairs. The house smelled like rain and fear. She checked each window, relatched each lock, moved from room to room as if expecting someone to emerge from the shadows. Finally, She reached the front door. A thin white note was wedged beneath it, partially damp from the mist outside. Her heart sank. She didn't want to touch it. Didn't want to unfold whatever venom Vanessa or someone working with her had left behind. But she had to know. Emma picked it up with trembling fingers. Noah stirred in her arms, sensing her unease. She whispered, "It's okay, baby. Mommy's right here." Even though she didn't feel okay at all. She unfolded the note. Just 3 words. "You're next, Em." Her breath caught. Her knees buckled. She grabbed the side table to keep from collapsing. Not Mrs. Carter. Not Emma. M. A nickname only Ryan used. A nickname she hadn't heard from him in months. A nickname he must have shared casually with Vanessa intimately. Emma clutched Noah to her chest as panic surged through her veins. She backed away from the door, vision blurring, heart hammering violently. She forced herself to breathe, to stay upright, to stay here for her babies. And then, through her spiraling panic, another realization struck. The handwriting wasn't Vanessa's. It wasn't loopy or feminine. It was messy, slanted, masculine. Her stomach twisted. Ryan. Had Ryan written this himself? Or worse, had he allowed it? The front porch creaked, sending a jolt up her spine. Emma darted into the living room, turned off the lights, and peeked through the blinds. The street looked calm. No cars besides the usual neighbors. No figure lurking. Nothing out of place. But someone had been here. And someone would be back. She stepped away from the window just as her phone buzzed again, her father. "Emma," he said the second she answered. "You're quiet. Talk to me." She swallowed hard. "Dad." Someone left a note. What kind of note? 3 words, she whispered. "You're next, Em." A dangerous silence stretched across the line. When Richard spoke again, his voice was ice. "Pack a bag. I'm moving you and Noah out of that house today." Emma pressed her forehead against the wall, eyes burning. "Dad, where would we go?" "I have a condo in downtown Los Angeles," he said. "Secure building. Doorman. Cameras in every hallway. You will stay there until this is handled." Emma hesitated. "Ryan will lose it if—" "Emma," Richard cut sharply, "Ryan is not your priority anymore. Your safety and those children are." Her throat tightened. Tears welled. "Okay. Good. I land in 90 minutes. Be ready." He hung up. Emma lowered the phone, breathing hard. 90 minutes. She could do that. She could pack essentials, diapers, bottles, clothes, her documents. She could do this. She had to do this. She moved quickly, putting Noah in his carrier as she hurried from room to room, gathering what she could. Every few minutes, she glanced out the window, terrified the shadowy figure would return. Her mind replayed the note again and again, the handwriting burning into her memory. As she packed, she heard a faint chime, a notification from the baby monitor app Richard had set up. She picked up her phone and froze. The app had captured a motion alert. From the side of the house, her pulse surged. She tapped the alert, opening the video. A man walked along the side of the house, hoodie pulled low. He paused at the kitchen window, leaned closer, tried the handle. Emma slapped a hand over her mouth to stop the scream rising in her throat. The man turned away after a moment, realizing the window was locked, and walked out of frame. But before he did, he looked up at the camera and smiled. Emma collapsed onto the couch, shaking uncontrollably. This wasn't just harassment. This wasn't just jealousy. This wasn't just an affair. Someone was trying to terrorize her into running, or breaking, or worse. The camera notification chimed again. A second alert. Someone was approaching the front porch. Emma's breath caught. She grabbed Noah, clutching him to her chest. She braced herself for the worst. But when she checked the camera feed, the man standing at the door wasn't Ryan. It wasn't Vanessa. It was someone she hadn't seen in years. Someone who shouldn't have known where she lived. Emma's fingers shook violently as she tapped the camera feed again, hoping, praying her eyes were wrong. But the face on the screen didn't change. The man on her porch, tall, shoulders broad, jaw tightened with something between anger and urgency, was someone she hadn't spoken to in nearly a decade. Ethan Rhodes. Her ex-fiancé, her first love, the man who vanished from her life without a goodbye. The man her father despised more than anyone. Emma stumbled backward, nearly dropping her phone. No, this makes no sense." She'd changed states, changed numbers, changed everything after the breakup. How did he even find her address? Noah whimpered at the tension vibrating through her body. She pressed a trembling kiss to his forehead. "It's okay, baby. Mommy's okay." But she wasn't. Not even close. Another knock, firm, measured, nothing like the pounding from earlier. Ethan leaned closer to the door, his voice muffled but unmistakable. "Emma? It's me. Please open up." Emma's breath hitched. She took 2 steps toward the door, then froze. She couldn't trust him. Not now. Not with what had been happening. Not when she had no idea who was working with who. Not when Vanessa had proven herself capable of anything. She swallowed hard and called through the door. "Why are you here, Ethan?" Silence. Then, "Because Richard called me." Emma blinked. "My father? Why would he?" Ethan exhaled hard. "He said you were in danger, that you might not be answering your phone, that someone tried to impersonate family services. He told me to get here before he could." Emma stared at the door, stunned. Her father had called Ethan? The same father who once threatened to ruin Ethan's career if he ever came near her again? Ethan continued, voice gentler now. Please, I know you don't trust me. I don't blame you, but I'm not leaving until I know you and the baby are safe." Emma's throat tightened. She stepped closer, but stopped again. "What do you know?" she asked through the wood. Ethan hesitated. "Only what Richard said, that your husband is mixed up with something dangerous, that the woman he's seeing is unstable, and that someone has been watching your house." Cold terror crept up her spine. "And you believed him?" "Richard Hayes doesn't beg people for help," Ethan replied. "If he calls, I show up, no questions." Her heart stuttered. She had never heard her father so desperate. Ethan added, Please, just let me see that you're okay." Emma pressed her palm to the door, torn between fear and the faint memory of trust. Ethan had broken her heart once, but he had never been cruel. And right now, she needed someone, anyone who was actually on her side. She unlatched the lock, opened the door just an inch. Ethan's eyes softened the moment he saw her. "Jesus, Emma." He looked past her, taking in the dark circles, the trembling hands, the baby clinging to her. "You look terrified." "I have every reason to be," she whispered. "Well, you're not alone anymore." Ethan stepped back slightly, giving her space. "Let me help. Let me stay until your dad gets here." Emma hesitated, but finally opened the door wider. Ethan stepped inside. The warmth of the house hit him immediately, but his expression hardened as his gaze swept the room. "Someone was here," he muttered. "I can feel it." Emma nodded weakly. "They left a note. Show me." She retrieved it from the drawer and handed it to him. Ethan read the 3 words, "You're next, EM," and his jaw clenched so tight she thought it might crack. "This wasn't written by a stranger," Ethan said. Emma's voice trembled. "I know." He met her eyes. "Did Ryan ever get angry, jealous, violent?" Emma shook her head slowly. "Not at first, but lately." She swallowed. "He's not the man I married." Ethan handed the note back. "This wasn't a threat." Emma frowned. "Then what is it?" "A warning," he said grimly. "Someone wants you scared, unstable, unprotected." Her pulse quickened. "Why?" "So, you'll make a mistake," Ethan whispered. "A mistake they can use against you." Emma felt the floor sway beneath her feet. But Ethan stepped closer, placing a steady hand on her shoulder. "You're not going to make one," he said. "Not while I'm here." Relief warred with confusion inside her chest. Why was he helping her? Why now? She barely had time to ask, because at that exact moment, her phone lit up with her father's name. She answered instantly. "Dad?" But Richard didn't speak calmly this time. His voice shook with urgency. "Emma, get out of the house, now." Emma froze. "Why, Dad?" "Because Ryan just left my office," Richard said. "He's furious. He knows you called me, and he's on his way home." Emma's blood ran cold. Ethan met her eyes, reading the fear instantly. "What's happening?" he whispered. Emma's voice broke. "He's coming." And this time, Ryan wasn't coming home to talk. He was coming to finish what Vanessa started. Emma felt her entire body turn cold, as if the air had been punched out of her lungs. Ryan was coming home furious, unpredictable, and already slipping into someone she no longer recognized. She clutched Noah tighter, her pulse thundering in her ears. Ethan stepped closer immediately, reading the fear in her eyes as if it were written across her skin. "Emma," he said quietly, "we're leaving. Right now." She nodded, but her feet wouldn't move. Her mind spun, ricocheting between terror, disbelief, and a strange, sharp clarity she hadn't felt in months. "I need his baby bag, his formula, the car seat. I'll get it." Ethan didn't wait for her permission. He strode toward the hallway closet, grabbing the travel bag and stuffing it with diapers, wipes, bottles, anything he could reach. His movements were fast, practiced, almost military. Emma had forgotten he used to work in crisis response logistics before everything between them fell apart. She shifted Noah to her other hip, whispering, "You're okay, sweetheart? Mommy's here." Her father's voice came through the phone again, louder now. "Emma, listen to me. Ryan was screaming when he left. He's convinced you've turned me against him. I think Vanessa showed him something, maybe that photo, maybe a lie, I don't know. But he said he needed to take control of the situation. That's when I called Ethan." Emma closed her eyes, nausea rising. "Dad, what if he tries to take Noah?" Richard's voice cracked something she rarely heard. "He won't get near you, I promise." Ethan returned with the packed bag, grabbing her keys from the bowl near the door. "Your car or mine?" "Yours," she whispered. "Ryan installed a tracker in mine." She hadn't meant to reveal that, but her fear loosened every buried truth. Ethan's face darkened. "Your husband is sicker than I thought." A sudden sound sliced through the tension, a distant engine, turning onto the street. Emma ran to the window and peeked through the blinds. A silver sedan. Ryan's silver sedan. Heading straight toward the house. "Oh God." Emma stumbled back. "He's here, he's early, Ethan. He's here." Ethan didn't hesitate. He grabbed the baby carrier with one hand, Emma's arm with the other. "We're going out the back, now. But the back gate squeaks, he'll hear. Then we move fast." He guided her toward the kitchen, but before they reached it, headlights flashed through the front windows. The sedan slowed, engine rumbling, as if Ryan were deciding whether to pull into the driveway or block the front door. Emma's breath came in ragged gasps. "He can't find me like this. I can't let him see me with you. He'll lose it, he'll do something." Ethan cupped her jaw gently, forcing her to look at him. "Emma, you are not alone. And you are not going to be hurt today. Do you hear me?" Tears blurred her vision. "I hear you." "Good. Stay right behind me." They slipped into the kitchen just as Ryan parked in front of the house. Doors slammed. Footsteps approached. Ethan eased the back door open only an inch at first. The cold air rushed in. He peeked out, scanning the yard. "Clear." He motioned to Emma. "Go." She stepped onto the back porch, clutching Noah's blanket against him to shield him from the wind. Her hands shook so badly she nearly dropped her phone. Ethan locked the door behind them and guided her through the yard, past the patio chairs, past Noah's little plastic swing, toward the side gate. Halfway there, a voice thundered from inside the house. "Emma." She froze. Ryan was inside. He'd found the unlocked front door. "Emma, where are you?" Noah whimpered, sensing the danger in the air. Ethan whispered, "Keep going. Don't look back." Emma forced her legs to move. They reached the gate. Ethan unlatched it carefully, but the rusted hinge screeched loudly, slicing through the quiet. Ryan's voice erupted from the house. "I heard that." Ethan swore under his breath. "Go, go." They slipped through the gate and ran Emma barefoot, heart pounding, Ethan carrying the bag and scanning every direction. They reached his car, a black SUV parked one street over, hidden under the shade of a large oak tree. "Get in," Ethan shouted, opening the passenger door. Emma strapped Noah into his seat with trembling hands. Ethan sprinted around the hood, then a new sound shattered the night. Slam. Ryan's front door flew open. He stormed out, scanning the street like a man possessed. Emma. Emma ducked low inside the SUV, tears streaming. Ethan jumped into the driver's seat, started the engine. Ryan turned toward them. His eyes locked on the SUV. He began running. "Ethan," Emma cried. "I see him." Ethan growled. "Hold on." He floored the accelerator. The tires screeched. The SUV shot forward just as Ryan reached the sidewalk, yelling after them, his face twisted with rage she had never seen in him before. But as they sped away, neither Emma nor Ethan noticed a dark car at the end of the street, its headlights off quietly following them. And inside that car sat Vanessa. Ethan drove with one hand clenched on the wheel, the other gripping his phone as he tried to pull up directions to Richard's secure downtown condo. The SUV sped through the quiet Los Angeles streets, headlights carving through the dark as Emma sat in the backseat with Noah, her arms wrapped tightly around the car seat as if she could shield him from everything chasing them. Her breath wouldn't settle, her pulse wouldn't slow. Every streetlight that passed felt like a countdown. Every shadow between houses felt like a threat. She kept glancing through the rear window, terrified she'd see Ryan's silver sedan barreling after them. For the first few blocks, the road behind them remained empty. Then Emma noticed it. A set of headlights. Not too close, not too far. Following every turn. "Ethan," she whispered shakily. "Someone's behind us." He checked the mirror. His jaw tightened. "I see them." "Is it Ryan?" Ethan shook his head slowly. "Wrong car. But whoever it is, they're sticking to us." Emma felt dread sink deep, heavy, cold. She forced herself to breathe. Dad said Ryan was furious. Maybe he sent someone, or maybe... She stopped. She didn't want to say her name, but Ethan finished the thought anyway. "Vanessa." Emma closed her eyes. Noah stirred, fussing softly, and Emma reached through the car seat to rub his tiny hand. "We're okay, sweetheart. Mommy's okay." But she didn't feel okay. She felt hunted. Ethan took a sudden left turn, sharper than necessary. The SUV jolted, Noah startled with a small cry. Emma looked back again. The headlights followed. "They're definitely tailing us," Ethan muttered. "But they're keeping distance, almost like they're waiting." Emma's skin prickled. "Waiting for what?" Ethan didn't answer. They drove in tense silence for several minutes. The downtown skyline came into view, rising like a constellation of cold lights. Emma tried to focus on the buildings, on the idea of safety, of her father waiting there. But the headlights behind them never wavered. When they reached the freeway entrance, Ethan slowed slightly. "We're going to test something." He switched lanes twice. Abruptly, the car behind them copied each move. Emma's breath hitched. "Oh God." Ethan's voice hardened. "I'm calling your father." He hit speaker. Richard picked up immediately. "Where are you now?" "On the 110, Ethan said. "We've got a tail." Richard swore under his breath. "Describe the vehicle." "Black sedan, no plates on the front." Emma's hand flew to her mouth. "No plates, Dad, is that?" "Yes," Richard said darkly. "It's the kind of stunt someone pulls when they want to intimidate without being traced." Ethan cut in. "We're 20 minutes out." "You're 10 if you take the fast route," Richard corrected. "Ethan, listen to me carefully. Do not lead them to the building." Emma felt her stomach drop. "Then where do we go?" "There's a secured parking structure 2 blocks east," Richard said. "Take her there. I'm sending someone down to meet you and escort you the rest of the way." "Someone?" Emma's heart thudded. "Dad, who are you sending?" "A person who owes me a favor," Richard replied. "You're safe with him." Ethan took a tight exit, the SUV swerving slightly as he redirected them toward the structure. The black sedan followed. Faster now. Closer. Almost eager. Emma's voice trembled. "Ethan!" "Hold on," he muttered. "We're almost there." They pulled into the concrete parking structure, the SUV's tires screeching as Ethan made a hard turn down the ramp. The sedan followed, headlights flooding the entrance like a warning. Ethan parked sharply near a support pillar. "Out," he said. "Now." Emma grabbed Noah, her legs shaking as she followed Ethan toward the elevator alcove. Behind them, the black sedan rolled slowly down the ramp, its engine rumbling, its lights fixed on them. Then it stopped. The driver didn't get out, didn't turn off the engine, just watched, from the shadows, waiting. Emma's heart pounded so hard it hurt. What do they want? Ethan positioned himself in front of her, protective, solid. "They won't touch you," he promised. The elevator dinged. The doors opened. A tall man in a black coat stepped out, his expression calm, controlled, and unmistakably authoritative. "Emma Hayes?" he said. Emma nodded, breath caught in her chest. "I'm here to take you to your father." Ethan glanced toward the sedan. "Friend of yours?" The man's eyes didn't leave Emma. "The enemy isn't behind you," he said quietly. Emma's blood ran cold. "Then who?" He stepped aside, motioning them into the elevator. "Your real enemy," he said, "is about to make her move." And Emma had no idea the next move would break everything open. The elevator doors slid shut with a soft mechanical sigh, sealing Emma, Noah, Ethan, and the mysterious man inside. For a moment, only the hum of the lift filled the space. Emma clutched Noah tighter, her pulse loud in her ears. Ethan stood close, eyes fixed on the man, as if ready to jump between them at any second. The stranger pressed the button for the top parking level, the private one. "Your father is waiting," he said. Emma swallowed hard. "Who are you?" He turned slightly, offering a polite yet distant nod. "My name is Marcus Hale. I work with your father. Occasionally." Ethan frowned. "Occasionally? You're not corporate?" "No," Marcus replied evenly. "But your father has influence in places that matter. And people who owe him." His gaze flicked briefly toward Emma. "Tonight, that works in your favor." Emma didn't understand any of it. Her father ran a logistics company, not some covert operation. Yet Marcus carried himself with a calm authority that suggested he'd seen situations far darker than this. The elevator stopped. The doors opened into a dim, empty private level lit by overhead bulbs that flickered softly. At the far end stood Richard Hayes, still in his tailored travel coat, hair mussed from rushing, eyes blazing with worry the moment they landed on Emma. "Dad," her voice cracked. Richard crossed the distance in seconds, pulling her into a tight embrace without hesitation. For a moment, she felt small again, like a little girl seeking safety after a nightmare. But this nightmare was real, and still unfolding. He pulled back to cup her face. "Are you hurt?" Emma shook her head. "No, but Dad, somebody was watching the house. Someone tried the window. Someone left that note. And Ryan, Richard's expression hardened. "We're going to deal with all of it." Noah, sensing tension, began to fuss. Richard took him gently from her arms. "Hey, buddy, Grandpa's here." His voice softened only for the baby. But then Richard turned to Ethan, eyes sharp again. "Thank you for getting them out." Ethan nodded. "I wasn't going to let anything happen to her." Richard studied him for a long moment, two men with history, standing on the same side for the first time. "I'm glad I made that call." Emma blinked. "Dad, why did you call Ethan?" "After everything," Richard exhaled, rubbing a hand over his jaw. "Because he was the only person close enough and the only person I trust to put himself between you and danger with no hesitation." A flicker of old emotion passed between her and Ethan. This wasn't the time. But it wasn't nothing, either. Marcus cleared his throat. "Mr. Hayes, we need to move." The sedan followed them into the structure. Emma stiffened. "Then why isn't it here now?" Marcus nodded toward the ramps. "Because whoever is driving it wants you to know they can follow you, but they also want you afraid. They're not ready to make a move." "Not yet." "Vanessa," Emma whispered. Richard shook his head slowly. "No, Vanessa's unhinged, but she doesn't have the resources to coordinate this level of surveillance. She's being used by someone smarter." Emma's stomach tightened. "Used? By who?" Richard hesitated. Ethan stepped closer. "Tell her." Richard sighed. "Emma, Ryan is in deeper trouble than you know. The firm he works for is under internal investigation. There are rumors he tampered with financial accounts. Vanessa wasn't just a distraction, she was leverage." Emma blinked, stunned. "Leverage for what?" "To keep him quiet," Richard said. "Or to control him." Ethan added, "Someone wants something from him. And you're the pressure point." Emma pressed a hand to her chest as understanding hit her like a blow. "So the note, the stalking, the false report, it wasn't just Vanessa?" "No," Richard said. "She thinks she's playing a game for love, but someone else is playing a game for power." Emma felt her throat close. "But why threaten me?" Richard held her shoulders gently. "Because you're the piece that can break Ryan. And someone needs Ryan broken." The elevator dinged behind them, an unexpected sound. Marcus spun, hand instinctively moving inside his coat. The doors opened slowly. Empty. But a single object lay on the elevator floor. A phone. Emma's heart jolted when she recognized the cracked case. Ryan's second phone. The one he kept hidden. Marcus retrieved it and handed it to Richard. "They're sending a message." Richard powered it on. The screen lit. A single video file appeared. Time-stamped 5 minutes ago. Recorded from the black sedan. A shaky clip of Emma running with Noah in her arms. Followed by a voice she didn't expect to hear. A woman's voice. Vanessa's. Whispering. "If I can't have him, neither can you." Emma's hand flew to her mouth. But the true horror wasn't Vanessa's voice. It was the shadowy figure sitting beside her in the clip. Someone Emma instantly recognized. Someone she never thought she'd see again. Ryan's older brother. A man who once vowed vengeance the day Ryan inherited everything he believed belonged to him. Emma felt the world tilt, as if the concrete beneath her shifted. Ryan's older brother, Caleb Carter, stared back from the frozen video frame on the phone screen. Same angular jaw. Same cold eyes. Same unsettling calm he carried even during the Carter family holiday dinners Emma attended years ago. Caleb was older by 8 years. Sharper, hungrier. He'd built a reputation for taking down competitors with a smile and a handshake, then disappearing before the dust even settled. But he'd also built a different reputation, one whispered, not spoken about violence disguised as accidents, intimidation dressed as coincidence. And he hated Ryan. Richard lowered the phone slowly. I should have known he would come back into the picture. Emma's voice barely came out. Caleb, he's working with Vanessa? Using her, Richard corrected, manipulating her, feeding her jealousy to get what he wants. Ethan stepped closer, eyes narrowed. And what exactly does he want? Richard sighed. Control, money, leverage over the firm. This investigation, Ryan is the weak link. If Ryan breaks, Caleb gets what he's been waiting for. Emma felt sick. But why come after me? Marcus answered quietly from the side. Because Ryan still cares about you. Even if he's made catastrophic choices, you're the only pressure point Caleb knows will force Ryan's hand. Emma shook her head. Ryan doesn't care anymore. He barely looks at me. Emma, Richard interrupted. If Ryan didn't care, Caleb wouldn't be doing all this. He would target something else, something purely financial. But he went straight to you. Ethan crossed his arms. So Vanessa is the emotional weapon, and Caleb is the strategic one. Yes, Richard said, and you're in the middle. Emma trembled. Noah whimpered, sensing her fear. She pressed a shaky kiss to his forehead as her thoughts spun in frantic circles. I don't understand. Caleb always ignored me. He barely spoke to me at the wedding. That was an act, Richard said. The Carters have a brutal family hierarchy. Caleb always believed Ryan stole the legacy he deserved. Getting rid of you cripples Ryan faster than anything else. Ethan muttered. And Vanessa's too emotional to realize she's being played. But Marcus shook his head. No, she knows. Emma looked up sharply. Marcus continued. Vanessa wasn't manipulated into this. She joined willingly. Caleb promised her something she wants more than Ryan. Emma's voice cracked. What could she possibly want more than him? Marcus's gaze softened. A reputation. A career. Financial security. Caleb promised to elevate her if she helped destroy Ryan. A wave of nausea hit Emma. So she's doing this for power, not love? Power disguised as love, Marcus said. The deadliest combination. Richard's hand shook as he rubbed his forehead. Emma, listen to me. From this moment on, you stay with me. No exceptions. Caleb is unpredictable, and Vanessa is unstable. We cannot underestimate either of them. Emma nodded slowly, swallowing her rising panic. Okay. Marcus turned to Ethan. You stay with her too. Until further notice. Ethan didn't hesitate. I'm not going anywhere. Before Emma could process that, Richard's phone buzzed. He glanced down. His face went pale. Dad? Emma whispered. Richard slowly handed her the phone. A new message. From an unknown number. A live photo. Emma's breath froze in her chest. It was a picture of her house. Her nursery window wide open. The rocking chair gently moving as if someone had just stepped away from it. Emma's knees nearly buckled. No, Ethan, that window was closed. I locked it. I know I locked it. Marcus spoke calmly but urgently. They're escalating. They're not just threatening now. They're inside your personal space. Emma's heart pounded. What do they want from me? Richard took her hands, voice trembling despite his effort to stay composed. They want you scared, vulnerable, distracted, because they want custody leverage over Noah. And if they can make you look unstable, they get exactly that. Emma felt her entire world collapse. No, they're not taking my baby. They're not. They won't, Ethan said firmly, stepping closer, placing a steady hand on her back. Not while I'm breathing. But before Emma could even take comfort in his words, the elevator dinged again. All four turned toward it, tense, braced. The doors slid open. A man stepped out. Not Caleb, not Ryan, not Vanessa. A uniformed police officer. "Emma Hayes?" he asked. Emma stepped back, alarmed. "Yes?" The officer held up a file. "We received a report claiming you fled the scene with an infant during a domestic dispute. We need you to come with us." Emma's blood ran ice cold. Richard stepped forward. "Officer, that report is false." But the officer cut him off. "It was filed by your husband," he said. Emma's heart stopped. "Ryan filed it." Ryan was now using the system against her. And this time, the threat wasn't at her door, it was in front of her, wearing a badge. Emma felt the world narrow to a pinpoint. The police officer standing in front of her didn't look cruel, he looked procedural, detached, following a report he believed was legitimate. But that didn't matter. His presence meant the game had officially escalated. Caleb and Vanessa had taken their fight from the shadows into the system, and Ryan had handed them the perfect weapon. "Ma'am," the officer said evenly, "we received a call stating that you fled the family home with the infant, possibly under distress. We are required to verify the child's safety." Noah whimpered in Emma's arms, sensing the rising tension around him. Richard stepped forward like a shield. "Officer, I am Richard Hayes, her father. This report is fraudulent. She left because she was being threatened. We have evidence of—" "I'm not disputing your claim," the officer interrupted. "But when a parent reports potential endangerment, we're obligated to assess." Emma's breathing hitched. "My son is safe. I would never hurt him." "I understand," he said gently, "but we still need to take a statement." Ethan moved subtly in front of Emma, positioning himself between her and the officer. "She's not going anywhere alone. Not tonight." The officer held up a hand. "Sir, I haven't asked her to." Marcus, silent until now, stepped forward. His voice dropped into something cool, calm, unnervingly controlled. "Officer, I need you to radio your supervisor, right now." The officer frowned. "And why would I?" "Because you're standing in front of the daughter of a federal logistics contractor," Marcus said, flashing a badge Emma had never seen before. "Not police. Not corporate. Something else. And because, if you proceed without verifying the source of the report, you could find yourself involved in a federal obstruction case." The officer's face paled. I wasn't aware." "You weren't supposed to be," Marcus said. "Call your supervisor, now." He stepped aside, letting the officer move away to radio in. Richard exhaled slowly, running a hand through his hair. Emma clutched Noah tighter, tears burning behind her eyes. "Dad, how is this happening? How did things get this far?" Richard pulled her into his arms. "Because you married a man who let his demons grow in silence. And he surrounded himself with people who feed on chaos." Emma felt something inside her crack again, but this time not from despair. From anger? Ethan stepped beside her. "Emma, when we get upstairs, you need to tell your father everything. Every detail, every message, every threat. No more protecting Ryan." She wiped her eyes. "I'm not protecting him. Not anymore." The officer approached them again, voice uncertain. "My supervisor confirmed. I need to step back from this, but I need to file that I saw the child and confirm he appears safe." Emma nodded, shifting Noah so the officer could see his face. "He's fine. He's scared, but he's fine." The officer nodded. "I'll file it as resolved." "But, Mrs. Carter—" "Miss Hayes," Richard corrected sharply. The officer swallowed. "Miss Hayes, whoever filed this report intended to trigger a welfare check. You need to be careful. These things escalate quickly." Emma's chest tightened. "I know." He gave her a sympathetic nod and left, his footsteps echoing across the empty parking level. The moment the elevator doors closed again, Richard grabbed Marcus by the shoulder. "Get them upstairs, lock down the building, and find out exactly where Caleb Carter is right now." Marcus nodded, escorting Emma and Ethan toward the private elevator. Inside, as the doors slid shut, Emma looked at her reflection in the mirrored wall. Her pale face, trembling arms, red eyes, hair sticking to her cheeks. She looked nothing like the woman she used to be. But she didn't look broken either. Not anymore. "Emma," Ethan said quietly, "there's something else you need to know." She turned to him. "What?" Ethan hesitated, then pulled a folded envelope from his jacket. "I didn't want to show you this until you were safe, but someone mailed this to my apartment 2 days ago. No return address." Emma's breath caught. For me? For you, he said. Your name was written on the front. He handed it to her gently. Emma unfolded the envelope. Inside was a single printed page. A court draft. Petition for emergency custody transfer. Filed by Ryan Carter. Her knees nearly buckled. He tried to take Noah? She whispered. No, Ethan said. He plans to. Emma pressed the paper to her chest, shaking with rage, heartbreak, and something sharper resolve. Dad's right, she said, voice trembling but fierce. Ryan doesn't get to hurt us anymore. The elevator doors opened. Richard waited inside the penthouse, eyes dark with vengeance. Come in, sweetheart, he said. We're ending this tonight. And for the first time, Emma believed him. The penthouse felt like a fortress, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the LA skyline, thick walls, muted lights, and a quiet that pressed against Emma's ears. She held Noah close while Richard paced with the restless steps of a man preparing for war. Ethan stood near the balcony, scanning every shadow as if danger could seep through glass. Marcus typed rapidly on a secure tablet, pulling data, tracking signals, hunting for Caleb's next move. Emma could barely feel her legs. The custody petition, still clutched in her hand, trembled with every heartbeat. He really wants to take Noah, she whispered. Richard stopped pacing. He wants leverage. That's all Noah is to him right now. His voice broke slightly, but he will not win. Ethan approached her. Emma, listen to me. They're expecting you to panic. They're expecting you to run or break down or make a mistake. That's how they build their case. She wiped her cheeks. I'm not breaking. Not anymore. Marcus spoke without looking up. Good, because something new is happening. Everyone turned toward him. Marcus rotated the tablet toward Richard. Caleb Carter just filed a motion to freeze Ryan's company accounts. He's trying to force Ryan into desperation. Richard frowned. Why now? Because Caleb wants Ryan cornered enough to lash out, Marcus said. If Ryan spirals, Vanessa supports him, and they'll drag Emma into it as instability by association. It's coordinated. Emma felt her stomach twist. So both of them are trying to destroy me and Ryan at the same time? Richard nodded grimly. Caleb's goal is bigger than you, bigger than Ryan. He wants control of the entire firm. And you. He touched Emma's shoulder gently. You're the easiest domino. Emma exhaled shakily. Then I won't fall. The room went quiet. Richard's eyes softened with pride. That's my girl. Before anyone could speak again, the security panel on the wall beeped sharply. A red indicator flashed. Marcus moved instantly. Someone just tried to enter the parking gate. Emma's pulse spiked. Who? He checked the feed. His jaw tightened. The black sedan. Ethan moved beside Emma, his posture rigid. We need a plan, now. Richard turned to Marcus. Can we shut down the elevators? Already done, Marcus replied. Police? Ethan asked. I've notified a private response team, Marcus said. They'll arrive faster. Emma stepped closer. What if they get in? They won't, Richard said firmly. Not tonight. But the fear twisting inside her wasn't for herself. It was for Noah, the innocent child being used as a pawn in a game he couldn't comprehend. As if sensing her thoughts, Noah reached up and touched her chin. Emma kissed his tiny hand, feeling strength flood through her. I'm protecting you, she whispered. I swear it. Suddenly, the penthouse phone rang, an old-fashioned landline Richard kept for emergencies. Everyone stared at it. Richard picked up slowly. Yes? A pause. His expression changed, tightening with shock, then fury. He hung up. What? Emma whispered. Richard looked at her with unbearable grief. Ryan is downstairs. Emma's breath caught. What? How did he get past security? He didn't, Richard said. He begged to be let up. Ethan scoffed. Begged? Richard nodded. He's alone. He says he has no one left. Vanessa and Caleb cut him out the moment he refused to sign their final document. Emma blinked. Final document? Marcus answered darkly. A statement blaming you for everything. Emma felt her knees weaken. He refused, Richard said, and now they're hunting him too. The room fell into stunned silence. Ethan whispered, So Ryan isn't the enemy anymore. Emma looked toward the elevator. Her heart pounded with anger, betrayal, fear, but also something unexpected. Resolve. Let him up, she said quietly. Richard stared. Are you sure? Emma nodded. If they want to use Ryan to destroy me, then then Ryan needs to tell the truth. All of it. On record. Marcus gave a slight approving nod. Smart. The elevator activated. Emma held Noah, standing tall despite the trembling inside her. The doors opened. Ryan stepped out, disheveled, bruised, terrified. And finally, the truth was written all over his face. Emma, he croaked, they're going to kill me, and they're coming for you next. Ryan staggered into the penthouse like a man running from something he couldn't outrun. His shirt was wrinkled, one sleeve torn, his hair disheveled, and a bruise darkened the side of his jaw. Emma clutched Noah protectively, staying several steps back, her heart pounding but not out of fear for him. Not anymore. Richard stepped forward, blocking Ryan's path. Don't take another step toward my daughter. Ryan lifted both hands in surrender. I'm not here to hurt her. I swear on my life. His voice cracked, raw from crying or screaming or both. Emma, I'm so sorry. Emma steadied her shaking breath. Why are you here, Ryan? Ryan ran a trembling hand through his hair. Caleb, Vanessa, they're out of control. They used me, then turned on me when I wouldn't sign their statement. They said if I didn't help destroy you, they'd destroy me instead. Ethan scoffed. You mean they'd expose your role? Your cheating? Your fraud? Ryan flinched but nodded. Yes. But it's worse than that. He turned to Richard, desperate. Caleb has been siphoning money from the firm for years, small transfers, hidden in the merger accounts. He needed a scapegoat when the auditors started circling. He picked me. And Vanessa, she helped him forge emails to make it look like I approved everything. Emma felt her jaw tighten. You chose her. I know, Ryan whispered. And I was wrong. God, I was so wrong. But I didn't know what she was capable of. Caleb promised her a promotion, a spotlight, a place at the top of the firm. She'd do anything to get it. Richard folded his arms. We already know she worked with him. We've seen the footage. Ryan swallowed hard. That's not all. He reached into his jacket with slow, careful movements. Ethan tensed instantly, but Ryan pulled out a small flash drive, black, unmarked, worn at the edges. He held it out to Emma. This is everything, he said. Emails, messages, transactions, threats, video. Proof that Caleb and Vanessa planned to frame me and use you, Emma, to make it stick. Emma didn't take it. She couldn't. Not yet. Ryan lowered his eyes. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I don't deserve it, but I can help you end this. Marcus stepped forward, taking the flash drive. We'll verify it. Ryan nodded weakly. Emma's voice came out softer than she expected. Why did you file that custody petition? Ryan's face collapsed. I didn't. Caleb did. He forged my signature. He told Vanessa it would break you, and he told me if I played along, he'd fix everything. Tears filled his eyes. I swear, Emma, I never wanted to take Noah from you. Emma stared at him, really stared. For months she'd been shrinking, doubting herself, afraid to breathe wrong. But now she saw Ryan clearly, small, weak, manipulated, but also guilty of letting jealousy and fear pull him into darkness he wasn't strong enough to navigate. I'm done letting you hurt me, Emma said quietly. But I'm not letting Caleb hurt anyone else either. Richard straightened. Marcus, send this to our legal team. And to the board of Ryan's firm. Marcus nodded. On it. Ryan looked at Emma. They won't stop coming. Caleb won't give up. Emma shifted Noah onto her hip, standing taller than she ever had before. Neither will I. Just then, a loud crash echoed through the penthouse, speakers' security alarms. Everyone turned to the windows. Police lights flashed below. Multiple vehicles. Marcus checked the cameras and exhaled. It's over. He turned the screen to them. Vanessa was being pulled from the black sedan in handcuffs, screaming Ryan's name, mascara running, hair wild. Caleb was shoved against the hood of a patrol car, his composure finally shattered. Emma watched, silent. Ethan glanced at her. You okay? She nodded slowly. Yes. For the first time, yes. Richard put an arm around her shoulders. It's done. You and the kids are safe. Ryan lowered his head. Emma, if there's anything I can do. There is, she said gently. Get help, be a better father, but we're done. He cried quietly, nodding. Hours later, after statements were taken and officers left, the penthouse quieted again. Ethan stood beside Emma on the balcony as Noah slept against her chest. "You were incredible tonight," Ethan said softly. Emma smiled, tired but glowing. "I didn't feel incredible. I felt terrified." "That's what strength is," Ethan said, "doing it anyway." She looked up at him. For the first time in years, she felt something warm, hopeful, open inside her. "Stay?" she asked quietly. Ethan smiled. "As long as you want me to." Emma turned toward the skyline, the night finally calm. Her nightmare was over. Her new life was beginning. And this time, she wasn't walking into it alone. So the story finally closes, and here we are. My dear friends, you're still with me at this moment, aren't you? If you truly made it all the way here, it means something in this journey touched your heart in a quiet, personal way. Maybe Emma's courage reminded you that no matter how dark life becomes, we always carry a light inside us. Maybe it echoed what Marcus Aurelius once wrote: "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Emma couldn't control betrayal, fear, or danger, but she reclaimed her mind, her dignity, and her future. And that's a reminder for all of us. Healing doesn't come from pretending we're okay. It comes from choosing not to stay broken. Life will test you. People will fail you. But as Seneca said, difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. Every challenge you survive becomes a part of your strength, not your identity. So if this story touched you, even just a little, let's stay connected. Give this video a like, share it with someone who might need courage today, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so we can keep walking through these stories together.